Call to order. If we'll, everybody rise, we'll see if we, sir, are you a guest?
Yes.
What's your name?
Dennis Benjamin.
Dennis, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh, my goodness. If I remember it. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, roll call.
Committee Member Fisher,
Hi, Mallory,
Present.
by the way. Thanks for being here.
Committee Member Cole,
Here.
Committee Member Royer,
Present.
Committee Member Spone,
Present.
Committee Member Walsh,
Here.
Vice Chair Salas,
Here.
Chair Greenwald.
Here. All right, we're going to go to nominations for chairperson, vice chair, and social services grant subcommittee representative. We'll start with the social services grant subcommittee. How many people are really familiar with our social services grants?
I've done that
Well,
before.
Rosemary obviously is. Okay. And you? Would you like to run for it? For chair?
I'm affiliated with two of the ones that get some money, so is that still okay, or is it a conflict of
That's
interest?
a little bit of a conflict.
That would be a conflict, yeah, unfortunately.
Just a tiny.
Yeah, I know a lot of them, I am affiliated with two of them, but I know a lot.
It's a two.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah. I mean, I'll do it, that's fine, it's easy.
I nominate Rosemary
It's not hard,
Salas.
it's very
Second?
easy.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Vice President? Who would like to be Vice President? Or Vice Chair, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Too much news.
And I don't know if it's easier to start with the chair, just in case there are people that might be interested.
Okay, all right, good idea.
I nominate Mike Greenwald.
I do too, second.
Third.
All right, anyone else want to run for chair? All in favor? Thank you, everybody. And Adam, I gotta apologize, I was gonna bring Andy back, that thing, it said save it for 2 years, I'll bring it up next time. So, Vice President,
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair, I'm sorry.
Alan, you interested?
Yeah, I'm
Jim?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I nominate Alan.
Jim,
Jim,
Jim, I'm sorry.
My middle name's Alan. You knew that, and you were just hold back.
you're just trying to press us that you're in the middle.
The dossier on
That's it.
Confused.
I knew it, Gary. I knew it.
All right, I second Jim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, we got that done, it's quick. Special presentations, and I see the chief's here,
Okay,
so regale us.
yeah, no, nothing on the, no PowerPoint, but I'm Justin Chevalier, your guys' captain and chief of police services for the city of San Clemente. I think I know just about everyone in here, and if not, hello. Nice to meet you guys. So real quick, we'll go over the Q2 stats, which encompass this calendar year, which is April, May, and June. We led with 234 total arrests, that's misdemeanors and felonies. Usually the felonies are going to be a third of that, and the rest are going to be misdemeanors. Criminal citations are 598. Our priority one response time, we aim for a department standard of 5 minutes or less for priority one calls. We exceeded that standard and got it down to 4 minutes and 23 seconds, which is really, really good. Total observed calls, and that's deputies doing proactive enforcement, going out there driving around, pulling people over, is 2,511. And then assigned calls for service is 3,904. In total, they signed, a little over 5,000, but the assigned calls, those are when you guys call, the residents call dispatch, either whether it's an emergency or non-emergency, and those are calls that our deputies respond to. So yearly, just so you guys can get a real good grasp on that, we have 25,000 calls for service throughout the year. I think that's second in the entire county. So we're a very, very busy city. So with that, that is the end of my report, and I'm available for questions if you guys have them.
And if any of you know other law enforcement agencies, that response time is beyond good.
Thank you.
Wait.
Sir.
So, 3 months ago, Rosemary and I, in doing our due diligence for the bicycle safety / e-bike conundrum that the city's facing, went to a presentation given by your school resource officer at Our Lady of Fatima.
Deputy Ruella.
Yeah, Sandra's
She's
great.
awesome.
And I first of all, number one, I want to commend the Sheriff's Department and you for providing this service with someone of her intellect and knowledge of what it is that she was speaking of. It was eye-opening for me to see that the depth and breadth of what it is that she knows and is able to communicate that effectively to the kids. They knew right off the bat that there was no BS in her with asking questions about what they can do with their bike and modifications to get around the class 1, 2, and 3 things that actually happen.
Sure.
But 2 things that happened that I was, first of all, obviously we are an advisory commission to the city council. And sometimes I wonder whether or not the city council has a clear view of all of the capabilities of all of the departments that they're responsible for. And I've thought that maybe having her do a presentation to the council on exactly what it is that you guys do, the services that you provide. And to me, I was really surprised to see how school resource officers are interacting with private schools because they don't fund you.
Correct.
School districts do. They contribute money to help fund school resource officers, whereas private schools generally don't. And in my experience, and I'm sure that someone may have different ones, we just don't do that. We don't have time to go to all of the different private, parochial, and whatever schools you have, which you do here, and I found that to be tremendous. The other one was, in our interactions with your deputies, I found it a little bit disheartening that they had no idea who we were. Not that they have to know us by name, but they didn't even know that this commission exists for their benefit. And so we took a little bit of time to explain to them, what it is that we do and how we advise and things like that, for the purposes of giving the city council the best advice that they can possibly get or information, but trying to, as a buffer between what the citizens are complaining about and what it is that you guys can actually do and not do. So I don't know how to remedy that. I would love to hear or have an opportunity to speak about that and see if we can figure out a way to, accomplish maybe those things. And if you don't think that those things are, I get it, I understand.
No, so I can answer both questions. So first of all, thank you very much for the kind words. We really focus on stuff that's important to the residents of the city of San Clemente, and thank God we don't have problems like the city of Stanton, right, where they have like prostitution and a lot of real hardcore crime going on there. San Clemente is by far extremely safe, but e-bikes is an issue, right? Just like parking is an issue. If it's important to you guys, it's going to be important to us. So that's why we do put so much energy into the e-bike, that rider program that we have, and additional e-bike enforcement. And I think that you bring up a good idea, kind of bringing it up to your second point, with I would invite you guys to attend some of our briefings. As a committee, an individual, or whoever you guys want to do, or however you guys want to work it out. They're at 5:30 in the morning and 5:30 at night. So if you guys want to come in, so that way they can put a face to a name, and you guys can kind of get some inside baseball on kind of what we do and how the briefings go. We have a fantastic group of deputies, investigators, and sergeants, and professional staff. So it'd be good for you guys to kind of see behind the curtain on the day in and day out kind of life of a deputy, and they'll also see that you guys have buy-in. And as well, because again, this is something, and by no means am I speaking for the council. They feel it's important to have you guys as a committee, so if it's important to the council, it's important to me. So I think that answered hopefully both of the questions. Okay.
Good. Anybody else?
No, she's been great. I mean, because I've been interacting with her a lot, and anything I say, oh yeah, sure, tell me, set it up, tell me where I need to be.
Yeah, she's
she
awesome.
shows up, she's awesome. And one of the things we thought, because she was so good that day and totally related to the kids and joked with them a lot and stuff, we were thinking, really the e-bike is a parent issue.
Indeed it is.
It's a parent issue. So I had approached the social media websites, and they said if we could video her with the talking points, or even any officer really, and just keep it to a minute, they would blast it all over social media, because the parents are the ones that are kind of looking on that a lot too.
Sure. So I will do one better. We actually have a regional e-bike program that we're launching. And to make sure that we have the same messaging with the other contract cities, I think that more than likely there's going to be some regional messaging that comes out, posted on the actual Sheriff's Department website, and we'll repost it as OCSD San Clemente. With that, I'll make sure I reach out to our public information officer, community engagement team as well, to make sure that we're getting some of that stuff out sooner than later.
Perfect.
And then to kind of come back to your point, James Royer.
You know
Whoa.
better. He knows better. He knows better now. That's okay. Go ahead.
We actually added a second school resource deputy. So
Oh,
Marcus
right, good.
Estrada, because you're right, we have 20 schools in the city, 10 are public, 10 are private, and that is too much for one person to bear. And Sandra is amazing. Her predecessor, Tyler Gish, fantastic. But Marcus is going to bring a different flavor, I think, if you guys haven't already met him. He's a character in a good way. And they're going to split those resources. And Adam, please chime in and correct me if I'm wrong. Albeit the private schools don't necessarily pay for us, they're still within the city boundary.
Sure.
So we do that as a courtesy to give them the same resources that we would give to a public school. So yeah, hopefully that answered your second question better, and then your question as well.
Anybody else? I have one question, Chief.
Sure.
How do I get a report for our homeowners association? We're across the street from Fatima and Seaview, and one resident, we think, drove over the cliff in his golf cart,
Okay.
and you folks responded, Ned's responded. So we can't find a report.
Yeah, if we took a report, which sounds like we probably didn't based on this being a fire authority handle, unless there was something criminal or the person was under the influence. If we took a report, that would be available through our website. Just ocsheriff.gov and PRA request or Public Records Act request, and you can get it through there. But based on this, it's probably just going to be a log item to where we assisted Orange County Fire in this. So there may not be a report, there may just be a log entry. But either way, you can go through and get it through a PRA request.
Nobody's admitting it was them.
Yeah. More than likely, if it's nothing criminal, we probably just helped out fire.
It just tore up a lot of our sprinkler systems. So,
Oh, brutal. Yeah.
thanks, Chief.
No problem at all. Anything else?
Great.
Not sure it's for you or for fire, but 3 weeks ago on a Sunday, there was a farmer's market, and they had an emergency at the place, this coffee shop next to Cotton's, and a huge fire truck came down the street on the wrong side of the road and parked smack in the middle of that intersection, and all of the cars that were coming up got stuck, and there was nobody directing traffic. I don't know how to do it. I wanted to help, but I didn't know what to do. And all the cars started to hit each other or come close. Nobody knew what to do. So my question, I guess, is when you know you're going into the middle of a city and you're going to be in the middle of an intersection and you're going to park smack in the middle, is there someone to assign to direct traffic? And if not, can we train our citizens to direct traffic?
So to the latter question, we do not want you guys in traffic at all. And to the first part of your question, I will get with, Shane's going to be gone here pretty soon. But we work in unison with those guys, with the fire guys. We're a team. We're very tight knit. So if there's ever a traffic situation, that's going to fall on the sheriff's department to make sure that those guys are safe getting in and out. And we have good ingress and egress is kind of what we call it, so residents can continue. I will say there are times when there's an emergency situation where we're not going to care too much about traffic, but for the most part we will. So I will get with Shane and make sure that we're reminding our people.
It was a Sunday's
Yeah.
farmer's market in the middle of, like 3
Sure.
weeks ago.
Sure. Yeah, I'll make sure we take care of that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so now you just brought up one. Where's Shane going? Is he getting promoted?
That's it. That's his business to share. But, yeah,
We love Shane.
I'm not going to abandon you guys like him. So.
Thanks.
No problem at all. Any other questions? Guests? Anything?
Are you staying or going?
I'm not going anywhere, man. I'm here until I get told to
I
go
have
somewhere else.
something I'd like to address that would involve your officers, hopefully.
Sure.
Thank you.
You want me to stand up or sit down?
No, sit down.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Chief.
No problem.
All right, Shane's not here, so Rod? How are you?
I'm doing well. Good afternoon, Rob Malott, Left Guard Chief. So the last meeting was June 23rd. I gave you some stats of our activity. So I'm going to give you some stats of the last 9 weeks since our last meeting. Rescues for the last 9 weeks, there's 1,672. Last year's total for 2025 was 1,152. So in 9 weeks, we completely gone way over that. Prevents in the last 9 weeks, 29,960. Last year's total for that same category was 17,780. Public Eds, 34,365 in the last 3 weeks, or 9 weeks. Total last year was 9,436. First, medical aid incidents, we had 612 the last 9 weeks. Last year's totals were 1,186. Law enforcement incidents, last 9 weeks is 11,964. Last year's totals were 15,637. So you can tell by those numbers, it's been extremely busy. Mother Nature hasn't let up with the water temperatures going all the way up to 79. Was at 70 this morning. The weather, and we're in a heat wave right now. Miley was so kind to put out a PSA today about the conditions. We have surf projected for the next 2 weeks. Up until Thursday, it's supposed to be 4 to 6 and 7 foot sets. Our public safety partners, we had 19 ALS calls in the last 9 weeks that OCFA responded to, and 15 OCSD calls for assistance as well. In those 9 weeks, we had 23 missing person incidents, 8 of those which were missing swimmers, all reunited. And I'm stoked about this stat. It's only 11 stingrays compared to like the hundreds and thousands up in Huntington and Seal Beach. We ran a successful JG program. We went from 6 sessions down to 4 sessions, expanded the program, our instructors. We put 600 kids through the 4 sessions and ended in July 31st. July 4th was a huge success. Only 58 rescues that day. We had, park rangers, OCFA, OCSD. We had 58 lifeguards working that day out of 61. And then I'll share a photo. Probably the biggest issue for us is lost winds. OCSD did a great job, but here's a photo of what that looked like on July 4th. And then the last thing, I'm not sure if everyone's been down on the beach to see how healthy the sand levels are.
Yeah.
Incredible, just incredible. I have a picture I can share with you. North and south, the place that we're missing the sand is Portel and DeHay down in that area, but outside of that, here's a picture. This photo on the right was taken in 2018, and this one was taken last week. So you can see. So
awesome.
the sand replenishment project that started in December of 2023 and got paused until they found the sand up the hillside, and we've been using that back and forth. So we're going on 2.5 years or so. The sand project is working the sands in the cell and moving up the wall. So that's it for me. If anyone has any questions.
Is Portel more an issue because of the railroad putting more rocks in, or?
The rocks that they did put in, they put them in the same spot. They didn't go out seaward.
Really?
Yeah.
Looked
They
like
did a
they did.
really good, it's so clean. They did a really good job. We monitored that, used the drone with preset locations and monitored that, and they did an excellent job.
Great deal. Any questions for Rob?
I have one, if I can make a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, go.
So a lot of you don't know, but I walk the Beach Trail before the sun comes up 6 days a week. And that included the July 4th weekend. And I will say that before the sun came up, the chief was at headquarters. He was the only one there. He jumped on one of the 4-wheeler dingers, and he went to all of the lifeguard towers, and he laid the cones out, the protective areas for where the guards needed. He was there way before any of the guards showed up. And that happened twice on that weekend. And so I happened to wave at him when he was pulling out of the garage. But that's the dedication we have of the chief, who will do the work of the troops. And I think
That's just because he didn't go home the night before.
well, that could be. That could be. But that was extraordinary to see.
He's like 7-Eleven, he's there all the time.
But I don't know if it's a state-sponsored bill or whatever, but they want to include lifeguards as first responders.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that.
Isn't that crazy that they're not? I mean, who would have ever thought that they weren't to begin with?
Yeah.
But how is that going to affect either the training for your personnel or the responsibilities that they may give you in addition to what you're already doing as a result of them trying to incorporate, because I can only imagine.
I think morale-wise is a huge benefit, right?
Mhm.
Because, we're not getting a call, hey, go respond to this, medical aid, rescue in the water or whatnot. They're the ones preventing those things, right? And dealing with those things. So morale-wise, it's a huge benefit to finally get recognized as a first responder. For the record, any lifeguard that's an EMT or above that is automatically a first responder. So, all of our full-time, all of our supervisors, all of our lifeguard twos are all EMTs. So this deals with lifeguard ones that are not known, and those are the boots in the ground. Those are the ones in the towers going out and making those rescues. So it's good for them to get that recognition. Does open avenues for funding, right? For additional training and whatnot. But we're certified through the United States Life Saving Association, and we are advanced agency, the highest level you can get to. So as far as like additional training, we're always like looking at ways to improve our operations. And California's the leading edge on everything compared to like East Coast, down in Florida, or overseas. But so the benefit is morale, so they get that recognition, and opportunities for funding as well.
Great. Anyone else? Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Trevor, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Before you start, Trevor, Adam, I don't know who, I have to try to send some invoices in for $2,000 for you to send, or asking you folks to send us an invoice for $2,000 to the Friends so we can get them shirts.
I think we're already, okay, we can talk more about that afterwards.
I just need somebody to send $2,000 invoice to me, and I'll take it to Friends, we'll cut you a check, and we're done.
Alright, cool, yeah, we can talk about that later. So let's talk about, I guess start with stats. May, June, July. So we have been busy this summer as well. We've also been shorthanded this summer as far as staffing levels. We had one of our full-timers out on paternity leave for the whole summer, so we were short on that. And then we've had a number of part-timers exit for reasons that I'll talk about in a little bit. We responded to 70 complaints, which doesn't seem like a lot compared to these numbers, but most people don't know our phone number. So that's actually been an uptick. I'd see patrols, over 4,000 patrols to our parks and beaches were made over those 3 months, with rangers dealing with over 900 violations that they addressed in warnings, addressing 213 parking violations through citations, 7 administrative citations, and 1 misdemeanor citation. We also had over 2,100 public contacts, so just our rangers out in our parks, on the beach, the trail, interacting with the public, either saying hello, welcoming, answering questions, that sort of thing. So we had, those are positive interactions that I really like to see our guys having. Some changes right now. It's been kind of busy administratively. If we're paying attention to the budget, we're making a transition in the structure of the Ranger program, where we're no longer going to be having part-time Ranger personnel. We're going to have an all full-time model. So we've been successful in adding 2 new full-time positions, so that we're going to be, those offers should be going out relatively soon, and those people should be starting soon, and we'll be up to what will be our full strength of 6 full-time Rangers, which has also allowed for some increase in wages for our Ranger staff to help with retention and less turnover. With the new structure, we'll have a little bit of a change to our scheduling as far as our staff's going to be on a 3/12, so we're going to have Rangers on from noon till 1 a.m. Daily, so we'll have 3 Rangers. So we're eliminating our opening shift and kind of half of that day shift. And the reason behind that is our data has shown that 90% of the violations and interactions we have happen from between noon and 1 a.m. with 82% of them happening from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. And so with this, we're able to take care of 90% of the problems we're seeing with half the staff, but also with more staff on duty than we normally have. So this will be, I think, an improvement in the level of coverage with pretty much no reduction in the level of service, with the exception of maybe those morning hours. And especially in taking into account with the morning operations, the opening was several hours, and during that opening time, they weren't doing any enforcement. They were just unlocking things. And if they saw something, it's like, okay, if that's still there when I'm done, then we'll go deal with it. But it's, a lot of times those things will be gone. Some of the duties that we're going to be not having with this lack of opening is we're pushing, things are going back to different departments. Openings going to be handled with recreation or maintenance, and then our picnic rentals, the park rangers were doing picnic rental check-in and check-out, which is really simply just like, hi, you're here for your picnic rental, cool, okay, you're done, you didn't destroy the place, sign this thing. And 90-something% of that, those picnic rentals, there's no issue. It's a 9-year-old's birthday party. They haven't done anything wrong. There's no enforcement that needs to be had. And it's something that is going to be able to be handled by a rec leader. And if they encounter issues, then they can call us and we'll, kick people out, issue citations, enforce permits as normal. But that'll cut down the amount of just kind of driving around to places that there's no problems, and we can focus on areas where we need to be paying more attention. Like I said, we've been shorthanded. Part of that is we gave good heads up to our part-time staff to let them know that, hey, not everyone's gonna have a job here moving forward, and a lot of them went and found other jobs. And so we've been shorthanded. We've had 2 rangers move on to, one's currently in the San Bernardino Sheriff's Academy. He's able to get picked up with them, and others starting with State Parks Academy for their police. We had another ranger just before this transition. He left, he's with OCSD as a CSO now. So while we've had people, our part-time staff go, they've gone on to I want to say bigger and better things, and so it is, I think, a feather in my cap to say, hey, the people that come here, when they leave, they go on to, they move ahead in their career, and this is a good, gives them a good background to move forward. So that's been, it's been good that they're moving on, but it's also been a little frustrating when, you don't have the staffing you want. So some accomplishments we've had, we've had adding the 2 full-time positions. With the assistance of Adam, we've had ordinance going to City Council that's going to allow us to assist California Fish and Game with the enforcement of fishing regulations on our pier. So we'll be able to issue citations for those codes, and that should be fully into effect right at the start of lobster season. And so we'll be able to assist them more with combating the poaching that takes place on the pier. And the pier has been kind of a hot spot for even kind of systematic groups that are poaching, where they'll have a lookout and somebody running a bag of lobsters up to a car. And there's only 4 game wardens that are working Orange County, and while we've been able to make good, form good relationships with them, you call somebody and they're like, hey, yeah, I'm on the other side of the county, I'll be there in an hour and a half. And us being able to handle that stuff, it really is gonna help make the pier less of a likely place for people that want to do that activity to come, because, well, there's the rangers there. It's not just Fish and Game you gotta watch out for. So that's going to be a huge, I think it's going to be a big improvement, and we'll see how this goes for this lobster season. with that, another, I think, accomplishment is we've been able to, really combat the homeless issues that have been down at the beach. I think at this point, we're no longer, I guess, I want to say like on the attack, or we're actively trying to deal with problem people, to now we're trying to stop problem people from filling the void. That's, the power vacuum that's been opened up. And especially, down at the pier with the assistance CSD, we were able to, handle one of our major problem homeless people that was hanging out down there, causing problems. So that's been, I think, a huge success. Really excited for that. Our future plans looking forward, we're working on some ordinances to bring to council that will help us to better enforce things in the parks. Some of our some things that are like rules and regulations that Parks and Rec has determined for how things are to be in the parks. There's not really an ordinance attached to it, and so in some of those instances, the best option we have is use of city amenity without a permit, which can act as a catch-all, but it's not the best, and there's some things that we'd like to have specific, and then also something that would allow us to address more things that when issues become invented, essentially, the black swans that you didn't know were gonna show up until some new gadget or activity becomes a problem because no one's ever seen it before. And like a good example would be like an unsafe park activity. We have an unsafe beach activity, which we can enforce if somebody's doing something that's obviously unsafe and is a danger to themselves or others on the beach. We don't necessarily have something like that for the park, and I think we can see things that we're like, hey, that's not allowed. We don't have an ordinance right now that prohibits vehicles from being on our sports fields. And there's just some blind spots that we've noticed through our activity that we don't have like a good option, and we're going to work on fixing that. And so kind of looking at what we can do to with I think the pressure being off as far as it being such a huge thing with homelessness down at our beaches at the moment. What holes are we missing, and where can we? What are things that we've been ignoring because this has been our number one priority, and now it's not taking up as much of our time, and we're gonna have more staff on during our hours, and what can we do with that? So we're looking ahead on that. So that's kind of our what we're looking ahead to. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Yes. Has there been maybe it's just me noticing more, but it seems like there's been an uptick in our homelessness.
I think in certain areas, I'm not seeing it. We're not seeing it as much down at the beach. We're not seeing nearly the level of like. We're seeing a lot of like transient, like they're new, they're here for a bit, and then they move on. I haven't seen as much like, oh, this is the new guy that wants to live here, and be a problem and not get with the program. So while we are seeing, I think, a little bit more of like a visitor kind of homeless person, we're not seeing, for us at least, in our parks and beaches, we're not seeing as many.
I kind of piggyback that too. So with the help of Troy and Carly, who work for the city, fantastic. Trevor's guys and gals, the park ranger, the Office of Sheriff's Department, our major health liaison. In January, our homeless number was people that, like Trevor's saying, permanently were homeless here in the city, was up over 50. But as recent as last month, that number is down to 10 in the entire city. So I think exactly his point of how they're kind of coming through here for a day, and then they go pass on to San Diego, or they go up north to other cities. I think that is absolutely validated with the data that we have.
Yeah, because I live on the south end, and that's where the bus stops. That's where they have to get off.
Yeah.
So I happen to see a lot, of them.
Well, and that actually I got to give a shout out to Adam as well. It was a big cohesive effort with Trevor, our team, everybody here in the city to kind of pass along that stuff and get San Diego to come up north and take care of the problem. Right, because just south of that Carl's Jr., that's not even Orange County anymore. Right? That's San Diego County. You can see it in the pavement when it changes. And with the help of Adam and everybody kind of working together in unison, I mean, the south end of town looks quite different right at that border. I don't know if anybody's driven down there
Yeah, it
recently,
looks
but
great
it's-
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
And I will say there
used
was-
to be a whole
Yeah.
camping thing going on.
And there were some residents that emailed nonstop, and we got every single one of those emails. And like I said, if it's important to you guys, it's important to all of us as well. So
I've seen a dramatic decrease in the Pure Bowl area,
Oh, yeah.
dramatic decrease in the early mornings and the walks. However, I'm just wondering, are you guys pushing them into the state park? Because the state park during the day has a real problem down there with miscreants.
I mean,
I'm not going to answer that question.
Yeah, I know it's a state park. but-
this is 100% speculation, but that's an area that I don't,
Yeah.
my guys don't patrol, and I don't think that's an area your guys
No.
patrol, and
It's a problem.
so that's.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem down there.
Yeah.
The other
we
thing
can only control the areas.
No,
that
I'm not
we're
complaining, I'm
assigned
just
to.
saying that the state park is not doing a very good job like you guys are of handling that issue, I don't think.
Is that the ones parking outside, right outside of it?
It's right by the restrooms where there's an
Oh,
electric outlet, and they
yeah.
all gather there or plug their bikes and everything else. But.
Is this the state beach or the park
The
down?
day use
San Clemente.
area at San Clemente State Park.
Like
Okay.
Calafia.
If you go down in there, if you go down there at noon or 1 in the afternoon.
And then going down the street, they, I think they kick them out the day, whatever, they're kicking
Yeah.
them out, and then they're parked all along.
That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
I think we need to contact the state and have them put their rangers in there for a few days.
Yeah, well, they do, but, yeah, I'm not complaining, just an observation. The other is, I could never figure out why a park ranger has to unlock the restrooms every morning. I could never figure that out, especially when we have the maintenance people down there that are, doing their thing with emptying the trash cans and stuff. You would think they would take that on. But maybe that's.
That's kind of, I think, who's going to be handling that from now on.
Yeah, I don't think we need to have.
It's been a multi-year process to try to get our park rangers' duties aligned with most efficient use of enforcement personnel.
But we're getting there.
We are.
Well, I'll
Yeah,
tell you,
yeah.
that beach trail is just, it's a treasure. It's fantastic, and it's just.
I brought up a question for you. This is also park rangers, but also not. I frequently am down in San Diego now, up here.
Sorry.
And, well, I'm helping my son build a house. So, I see pretty frequent basis, an Orange County Sheriff's Officer, K-9, sitting on the freeway.
Yep.
Down in Camp Pendleton. Pretty much every day.
You sure that's in Orange County? I think that's a San Diego County.
No, that's us.
Orange County.
Great observation, sir. So we work with the state and local authorities and federal authorities down there to combat the trafficking of narcotics north and the proceeds of narcotics from going south.
Oh.
So that's our higher interdiction team. It's supervised by our South Narcotics Enforcement team, and that's a partnership that we have with them. So you're going to continue to see sheriff's
Yeah, well, I
department cars there.
I'm seeing the San Diego canine unit down there.
Yeah, I won't tell you how much they're seizing, but it is a significant amount for the residents of Orange County. On the grand scheme of things, we only get about, 10% or less as a country of the drugs that are coming into the United States. But the 5 freeway interchange, it is widely known throughout those circles that's probably not a good freeway for you to take. And a lot of times too, they'll send a decoy up, right? And we'll get the decoy, but 100 pounds goes when we're pulling them over. So we can't get them all, but those guys do a really, really good job at combating that. So yeah, that is us.
Great. Thank you, Trevor. I don't see public comment anywhere on our agenda, but it seems we have a guest, and if he wants to say something,
Yes, I
we
appreciate it.
should
A few
make
minutes.
that so that if he needs to leave, he can.
Oh, well, my name is Dennis Benjamin, and I am Farallon Ridge delegate in Toledo. Not here in that capacity, though, but several of my neighbors, 31 to be precise, have signed a petition, and I only have one copy because my printer died. I'm trying to make another copy. Should I give it to you? And this is their petition. And what they're speaking about, I'm glad the chief is here, is speeding on La Pedreza Street. La Pedreza is a city street that goes through Toledo. And it runs, basically, it twists and turns a lot, but it runs in an east-west direction, parallels Pico, kind of. And Farallon Ridge, where I live and where all of those signers of that petition live, we're up on Camino Flora Vista, which feeds into Pedraza. If you're going to go anywhere, you have to get on Pedraza. And cars driving in a westerly direction on Pedraza seem to be speeding a lot. And the people that signed that petition mostly live closer to the Centenalia entrance onto Pedraza. And I don't usually use that to go into San Clemente, but I did use it the other day, and they have a very good point. It's almost blind because you're kind of up a hill and cars coming westbound on Pedraza are down lower on a hill and coming, you can't really see them when you're sitting at the stop sign. Because they're lower than you are and they're kind of behind you a little bit more than 90 degrees. The speed limit is 40 and people are coming. Like, I don't know if they're late for work, where they come from. I wonder, the Mendocino apartments maybe, or there are some condos down there, because somehow they're flying and somehow they're on Pedraza. I would think they'd like to be on Pico if they're going to go that fast, but they're not. And so they've asked for, it's outlined in the petition here, is 4 things: a formal engineering traffic study of that intersection of Centenalia and Pedraza, a safety mirror, if you're sitting on Centenalia, that you could see who's coming up the hill. Because as I said, right now the visibility is very limited. And maybe a sign, they have what's like a sign that says blind intersection ahead. So people on Pedraza would realize there could be some people pulling out in front of me and I can't see them and they can't see me right now. So that's their request. And I would add, because I don't use that intersection too much, I'm further west in a very rough sense on Camino Flora Vista. I use the Via Amor and Pedraza intersection. And at that point, Pedraza is it's very hilly, very curvy. People are coming down Pedraza. I can't see them. I pull out. I'm heading westbound on Pedraza. They're right behind me. They're right behind me. And I don't have radar in my eyes, but in my mind, if they were going 40 miles an hour, they wouldn't be that close to me. I wouldn't, knowingly pull out in front of anybody. So that is their request. And I think it's very valid. I looked at it myself. It is, you just can't see. You just can't see, to make a long story short. And now I'm retired from federal law enforcement myself, and since the chief is here, I think some enforcement would be interesting. I know you have 2 motorcycle officers. I did see one of them issuing a summons or stopping a vehicle down at the very west end of Pedraza. Maybe.
Closer to Vista Hermosa?
Yes, very close to that intersection with Vista Hermosa. And good. But if they were to sit at Centenalia and measure the speed of the cars coming up the hill, I think they would find some significant speeding.
Right around commuter hours?
Yeah, I would say 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., a little bit after that. Maybe make it different days of the week, during the week, not always Friday, but maybe mix it up a little so they can't expect you. Or also where I usually enter onto Pedraza at Amor. Because at that point, they're coming down a big hill and turning left. And that hill, as people will do, that seems to give them more added momentum, and they're really flying in some instances. And I also walk along Pedraza sometimes for exercise, and you can just see some people are really flying.
I'll let my guys know tonight.
Okay, thank you. So I hope that you will look at that petition.
We'll pass that along, and I think 1 or 2 of your citizens are very good, so.
So it's 31 signatures there. I didn't mention that. So it's not just a couple of people. So any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Being
you.
involved, that's how things get done around, when citizens get involved. Thank you.
Alrighty. I just had one question, Mr. Benjamin, real quick. You say previous informal requests city traffic staff have not resulted in meaningful safety improvements. Can you elaborate on what that specifically is?
I can't, because Serena Hecker, one of my neighbors, is the driving force behind the petition. So I can't give you any information on what those informal requests have been.
Okay, because in
Committee,
yeah, exactly.
well,
Go ahead.
if I can, the HOA, the TMC leadership has reached out to the city to talk about this. Is your sub-association involved with, have they
I'm
had
a
these
neighborhood
conversations?
delegate. We're not an association. I'm just a neighborhood delegate. The association is the Talega Association.
Okay, so I'm aware of conversations that the TMC has brought up to our transportation folks. I know that there are a number of standards and regulations as it relates to calming traffic measures that has been looked at in the past. I was contacted maybe 2 weeks ago by the HOA board vice president to continue talking about this. If you'd like, I can take that petition, talk with our public works folks about this, and just make sure that this is getting the traction that it deserves. I know that Captain Chevalier has acknowledged the request for additional enforcement, and he can work on that with his staff. Since the committee meets again in 2 months, let me follow up with staff on this, and I can provide a report back at the next meeting.
And Adam, I know I've moved radars from there. We've had radar trailers out there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know because I've moved them.
Yeah, and I don't know what the transportation engineering folks' latest and greatest on this is, but I'm assuming that when they start this type of work, they're going to do their own survey to look at speeds and what options may exist.
You know, there is a sign on the west end of the La Pedreza that tells you how fast you're going. Does that collect any data as to how many times? Is it just measuring real time and that's it?
Well, that's not an OCSD device,
Yeah.
but that's a city device, but I'm pretty confident it does not.
Yeah, so when we're looking at, I think it's, we're looking for the 85th percentile speed when traffic calming measures are being investigated. Those numbers are developed with the usually that speed camera on a trailer that has the call it the rubber ropes in the street. I don't think that those signs actually collect that data.
Yeah, I've seen that trailer down towards the west end of La Pedreza. But you can almost look at La Pedreza and say there should be two different speed limits. One on the more eastern because it's so hilly and twisting, and as you start to come down towards Vista Hermosa, it's a little straight. It's quite a lot straighter, and there's only one kind of bend there before you get all the way to Hermosa. But the other end is very hilly, very twisting.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So let me take this, and is your contact information on here? Or should I?
No.
Is Serena?
Just work with the board. You said the board. Yeah, you can contact Serena.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sure.
Okay. And I'll follow up with the TMC board as well. Just to
Yeah, I didn't know they
make
made
sure.
inquiries. We used to talk at the meetings with the board years ago. And when you put in the bicycle lanes, because it makes the street narrower, we thought maybe that would slow people down, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, I know it was the issue of speed was one thing that the board's concerned with, and the donuts in the intersections was another item that they brought up. I'm sorry, for clarification, the donuts I'm talking about now are the ones that the cars make.
cops in the room right now.
A lot of ears perked up.
Adam, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bringing that to our
Thanks for your
attention.
time.
One other thing, somewhere between 4 and 5, my girlfriend's surgeon is gonna call her, and she's gonna forward it to me, and I have to step out for a second. But otherwise, approval of minutes from the June 23rd meeting.
See ya.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Great. Any oral communications, Melanie?
We're doing a great
Oral
job.
communications was the public comment,
Okay.
so everybody can dispense with that.
Any unfinished business?
Good, I like it. All right. The Community Resilience Center's planning grant and public workshop regarding potential San Clemente Community Resilience Center. And we'll ask Adam to bring us up to date on that.
All right. Thank you, Chair. Sorry about that.
No, don't be.
All right, so this first item, and at this point, just for Captain Chevalier's use of his time in the most efficient manner, could we move to the next item?
B, yes.
Which is B, yes. The holiday safety enforcement enhancement options. So this item comes after really a couple years of discussion related to some of the events that have been transpiring around the city during the July 4th holiday. This was especially true this year as it relates to some of our neighboring beach cities and some of the issues that they've been facing. For the city of San Clemente, there's a few things that are quite concerning. One is an event called the office chair races has ballooned over time. It's decades old, and it really just started with some people racing office chairs down the road. Since that time, it has turned into a very large public party where issues related to either trespassing onto private property, using private properties as restrooms has become an issue. Of late, though, water balloon fights have just turned increasingly dangerous.
And frozen.
Frozen water.
And frozen.
Yeah.
So
I tell you, you had the double entendre that's ballooned up. It's a goal.
Yeah, exactly. So that type of activity is one issue that has that the city has been working on for a couple of years. 2 years ago, we supplanted the office chair races with a city-run event called the Star Stripes and Slip and Slides. That event was successful at displacing that particular event, but it wasn't necessarily. It didn't necessarily end that type of activity on its own. The other thing that we deal with on the around the 4th of July, and also to some extent over New Year's, is fireworks. There are a few cities that have begun to do some more, I'll say, high-tech surveillance and enforcement of fireworks. Stanton and recently the city of Orange have instituted a drone surveillance program. So this is a discussion about holiday safety enhancements that will assist the Orange County Sheriff's Authority, the Orange County Fire Authority, our lifeguards, park rangers, and to some extent code enforcement. There's a number of items here, and I'm more than happy to kind of walk through each one. But I think at this point, this is really more of an introduction, because I think that some thought needs to be put into a lot of these ideas and then discussed at the next meeting. The next meeting is going to be in October, which is still plenty of time for us to create some new ordinances and work with, maybe some private contractors that provide services that can support our law enforcement partners. So there's still time to accomplish all of that, even if we can spend 2 months maybe diving into this a little bit deeper. Just to go over these just so that they're on the record. Starting with fireworks, the city's firework regulations are adopted through the adoption of the California Fire Code. The California Fire Code essentially says that all fireworks, including safe and sane fireworks, are prohibited unless a local or agency authorizes them. We don't authorize them, therefore they're prohibited. However, there's nothing really in our code that says fireworks are prohibited. It is by virtue of the adoption of the fire code. But if somebody looked up our municipal code, they're not really going to find anything about fireworks, with the exception of the process to get a permit for a commercial fireworks display. That's really the only thing our code includes. So this one's going to cover a few things. One, it's going to provide a specific municipal code ordinance related to the prohibition of fireworks, and it would give us the opportunity to set some more, or I should say, increase our fines as it relates to firework violations. It also makes it easier to cite somebody for a misdemeanor having a municipal code violation, and that's for two reasons. One, if the Orange County if the Orange County Sheriff's Department issues a misdemeanor for a violation of the California Fire Code, that would be prosecuted by the district attorney's office. My assumption is that the district attorney would actually prosecute those, but there are some things sometimes where the district attorney's office is not prosecuting everything that our sheriffs are writing citations for. If it's a municipal code violation and it's cited as a misdemeanor, we have our own in-house legal counsel that prosecutes those types of citations on behalf of the Orange County Sheriff's Department. So that would really help address that through enforcement. And number two, I actually covered that with number one. Number three is the water and ice balloon projectile regulations. Some cities just ban balloons. Some cities ban water balloons, or the throwing of projectiles similar to water balloons. That one seems pretty straightforward. It achieves a couple things. One, it allows a municipal code violation for this type of activity, but also regulating water balloons in the public right-of-way would really help our environmental programs. Even when the water balloon fights were not as dangerous as they are now, the day after the 4th of July, the street was littered with water balloons, which all went into the storm drains. It was actually a really large environmental issue. Number four, and this relates to, we'd say, an area around where events like the office chair races are held. The cities that have the drone enforcement, they have gone through the process of updating or creating what's called a social host ordinance, which basically says that if the person who owns or is responsible for managing a private property that where a large unpermitted or dangerous event takes place can be held responsible for the activities, even if they're by other people. The way it relates to fireworks regulations is these ordinances will allow a city to include portions of public right-of-way in front of those properties. And so if somebody's launching fireworks in the middle of the street and it can be proven that that person is associated with a private property, it establishes that enforcement mechanism. The city has what's called the loud and unruly gathering ordinance. It's a bit antiquated. It's really geared more towards house parties and not towards these types of events, which would be in generally the front yard or in the public right-of-way. And so staff would want to look at whether it's time to just update the loud and unruly gathering ordinance so that it's more of a social host ordinance, or just simply repeal and replace with something more contemporary. I mentioned contracted drone enforcement services. That is definitely something that's on the table. Code enforcement for the city of Stanton was the ones that handled that process. We would definitely want to look at ways to ensure that the issuance of those types of citations would be less susceptible to administrative appeals. In the city of Stanton, I think they issued $300 or $400,000 worth of citations 2 years ago to 18 different parties. All 18 parties appealed, and on appeal, every single one of those citations, while upheld, was reduced in total fines. The total amount of fines received was about $40,000, which just barely covered the cost of the drone enforcement. I believe that $40,000 also covered the amount of staff time that was involved, but I can tell you, having dealt with administrative appeals in my career, they are a huge time suck. And preparing for them takes a significant amount of time. So we would just want to make sure that however this is done in such a way that it disincentivizes people from wanting to challenge the evidence that we've collected. Not that they don't have rights, but that it's very clear that there is a hill to overcome, and that hill is difficult. And this is not just having your day in court where you get your voice heard, but this is something that you need to prove that the city's enforcement was lacking some legal tenet to hold. There's item 6 is temporary and supplemental surveillance technology. I know in the past the Public Safety Committee has heard about the security trailers, the temporary security trailers that telescope up with the lights and all that. I know that's not necessarily the permanent fixture that the residents in this town would like to see. However, for some of these events, I think it actually makes a lot of sense. There's also some cameras that the city could purchase that can be temporarily installed on things like telephone poles, light poles, that can just provide some additional surveillance so that during these types of events it's easier to gather this type of information. Number 7, this is an idea that I noticed in the city of Oceanside. I would have to think that this is also provided elsewhere, unless Captain Chevalier is aware of other cities that have a holiday safety enhancement zone. The way that this occurs in the city of Oceanside is, I want to say it's within basically the first 4 blocks of the beach. The neighborhoods and commercial areas are identified as a special enhancement zone where a violation of a law or local regulation, or I should say local regulation only, would receive a fine equal to 3 times its normal fine amount. It's also about the time, and it's usually like 3 weeks before the 4th of July and 1 week after. And the city puts up signs everywhere, so it's very clear that illegal activity will not be tolerated in that particular area. Number 8 is augmenting police services staffing during peak enforcement periods. I'll work with Captain Chevalier, and maybe at the next meeting we can talk about what some of those options might be, whether they're special task forces or some additional just some additional staffing or other ideas of that nature. Number 9, cost recovery and business property business accountability is really just a mechanism so that should there be a need for our legal services to get involved, that it's clear how the city can charge for that time to deal with these issues. And then the last one is a public information program, which the city does every year anyways. We put up signs mounted to poles that say, things like fireworks are prohibited, but this would be expanding that outreach and targeting specific groups or areas so that everybody's aware of whatever is included in the safety enhancement program. So at this point, we're just asking that the committee review these regulatory and enforcement options and provide feedback to staff, and then what we'd like to see is a recommendation to the city council for the ideas that the committee believes would best achieve the goals that the city seeks to achieve.
Adam, has the council given any priorities to 1 through 10 as far as the ones that they think are more advantageous to what it's trying to do versus others?
You know, no specific direction. No specific direction. What I can glean from their conversations is the issues that they believe are the most threatening, and those are specifically the threat of wildfire from fireworks and the frozen water balloon throwing. Those issues have been identified as very serious. I'm sure that there have been other discussions, either with individual council people or with other city leadership about some of these other ideas. But to answer your question, nothing. They did not direct anything specific, other than there's a problem. Let's figure out what to do, and to refer this matter to the Community Safety and Welfare Committee for investigation. And I'm sorry. Just to clarify, when they made that, they wanted the committee to specifically look at surveillance and ticketing. Those were the words that they used. So I would assume that what they meant was surveillance, obviously, and the fines for enforcement.
The reason I ask is because, as some of us know here, a lot of these things are extremely labor intensive and very costly. I mean, you can write all the ordinances in the world unless you got somebody to go out there and do the enforcement, which in a lot of this stuff is unbelievable amounts of overtime and manpower in order to accomplish things. But some of these things can be accomplished with writing of city ordinances and then to go ahead and enforce them. And a couple of things that I saw in here. San Bernardino had a program 25 years ago called Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program in order to go in and deal with a lot of these issues that you're having right here when it comes to rental properties, multi-unit apartment complexes and things of that nature, where you have uniquely individual types of problems in those environments that you never see in single-family homes, ever. And so this program, which I stole from them with $475,000 from the Community Development Block Grant money that I was able to commandeer, and we changed the whole outlook of our city just by implementing these basic changes for how you go. And one of the things is that you have landlords and owners of buildings introduce lease addendums in there that tell them if you are involved in criminal activity and the police department comes out and makes arrests as a result of those things, you will be evicted as a result of those things. And then you have fines and other things as a result of, you know exactly how much it costs each one of your guys every hour that they spend out there at a call. Well, you take the number of guys, you multiply it by the times of the thing to hand that into the city attorney's office with an administrative citation, and then they turn around and fine them.
Could I just say, as somebody that worked for San Diego County Sheriff's Department, yes, we used that for many years, but there was litigation the last 10 years, and we've kind of stopped that program.
But you can modify it.
Yeah, it can be modified, but
Yes.
there was a lot of litigations happened the last 10 years where that program was paused.
Okay.
What was the defect in that program?
Well, so it went to what he was saying. Let's say there's calls for service at a particular apartment complex. There was an arrest made. Then the management was notified, and then they would do an eviction. So you're basically evicting maybe others that weren't directly related to that crime. They were even cutting off federal funding. So there was a lot of things involved. There were lawsuits, like in the city of Apple Valley and Victorville, and we had deputies just assigned to that. So they were reviewing calls for service the following day. Hey, we went out there, contacting management. These people are being evicted. Well, eventually that turned into lawsuits. So Because in the early 90s, I was at Newport PD when Newport first did their ordinances back in the day, and it was a dramatic difference in the.
Oh, it was effective for us as well for a long time. And this is only that I started hearing about this probably in the last, like I say, 5 years or so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well,
We
my
have to have
point
something
is,
on the
my
books.
point is that some of these things are easier to accomplish than other ones are going to require a lot of due diligence and research and coordination with other things. You know, we can make all the recommendations in the world, and to put more, you know, things on his tool belt isn't going to solve the problem. But I agree. 2 years ago, I had my 87-year-old aunt and uncle out here from Chicago, and driving my convertible down through the Pier Bowl coming back. And buddy, let me tell you something. It was all I could do to keep from getting out of the car and shooting somebody right in the face because I was so mad at all of the water balloons and shit that come flying in there and hit my family. It was just unbearable. So what do? I don't go anywhere near that place anymore as a result of that, because it's just, now when you add in, you know, frozen projectiles, I can only imagine how.
Well, I guess my concern here is, do we really have a problem? Do we have a statistical problem that we can identify? Example, how many calls did the sheriff's department get around illegal fireworks over the 4th of July weekend? I'd like to know that number, because how big a problem it is. And the other is, we're our own worst enemy when it comes to that office chair race. And I can tell you that from personal experience, because I went down there every year and just had a ball. It was fun as hell. And every year it got a little crazier and a little crazier. And at one point, the sheriff's department, bless your soul, was parking sheriff's cars just to show a presence, but still allowed it to occur. They were just kind of there as Overwatch people. But it got to the point where I'm amazed nobody broke their neck physically. I mean, literally getting whacked. And now the water balloons and the hoses and it's just turned into a zoo. Why we didn't shut that thing down?
Quite a few injuries.
Well,
too,
why didn't we just shut that down? I mean, just shut the streets down and have a massive presence there and put that thing out of business. I know they moved over with
Well,
the,
they move over,
they
that's
moved
the
over to
problem. They keep moving
Cadevalle
over,
when they
yeah.
did that, but this is a specific bunch of miscreants.
It will be a moving target. Because,
Every year.
But
Yeah.
now somebody's got to put stop to it. Kevin, I mean, I hear in your department, it's kind of a very political thing, who gets them and who doesn't. But you guys have a great reserve program.
We do. They're just short. It's short staff. So COVID is a big reason why we don't have as many reserves as we do today. And on the 4th of July, it is notoriously known that San Clemente is not just a hang out and put your feet up on a chair day. We hire almost 100 people just for that one day, and that one day costs 10% of our overtime budget for the entire year. So we're throwing a lot of things at it, and I know that one of the ideas, well, let's throw some more deputies at it. I say great. That's one, come at a giant cost, and two, that's going to take one deputy getting hit with a water balloon for there to be some other things that occur in that area. So like the dispersion thing that you were referring to the other day, and that this right now, and what you just said. If we shut it down, the city does a great job of shutting down the street, it's gonna go one street over. Okay, now we know about that, cool, now we're gonna go to the other street, because San Clemente is known as a spaghetti bowl, there's lots of hills in the city,
Yeah.
so it is a complex problem, but I think collectively, you guys are gonna do a great job of helping us solve it. But just keep in mind that it's gonna cost a lot of money if you wanna throw some more deputies out.
I get it. Chairman, I had a couple questions.
Sure.
So I read through it and kind of along the same lines as Michael. I'm a resident, but I'm really not aware of. I see these measures and they all look great and they sound good. But if I had a little more history on same thing, how many calls for service, how many fireworks calls for service, how many injuries or fires related to those calls, how many large gatherings, a little more information on what the problem was, I think it would help me to maybe understand the measures or how they can be implemented. The other thing I thought about was it mentions other jurisdictions and the drone program and things they implemented. If there was some type of follow-up, like, yeah, they paid and they implemented, but what was the success? Did we have any numbers of they did this the next year, this dropped, and they had a lot of success there. And then lastly, just maybe for me to understand the measures to have the fire department or the sheriff's department or the park rangers speak about. I mean, they're the boots on the ground. In my opinion, they probably know some of the best measures that would work for them, where their shortcomings are, or how they can't really address the problems they want to. So maybe having a recommendation from them on these measures as well.
Are the fireworks mainly down at the beach? They're still inland too, right?
A lot of them.
Oh, they're all, pretty much all over the city, right?
They're pretty much all over the city. Last year, we had a fire down off of Acapulco
Yeah,
that was started by an illegal firework.
yeah.
Luckily, the OCFA had a couple strike teams out that day. One was close by, and they were able to put that out. But I think it still ended up burning half an acre maybe, and it was pretty close to some homes.
Oh, sorry.
And that whole canyon would just gone up if it had been able to fester.
Oh, yeah.
No, I do think that we need to do something
Need to,
on
yeah.
on the books here around this enforcement. So I think ordinances are, I know people don't think that they get enforced, but you can't do anything unless you have them on the books, right? Even specific investigations, you're kind of.
Well, you know what happens, because it's written down, it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
if there's not an ordinance on the books, it's very difficult to try and tell somebody what they're doing is wrong.
Right, especially on the ice balloon and water balloon problem.
Whether we enforce it or not, it's a different story, but if we at least have it on the books, it says, yeah, this is wrong.
Yeah.
When we find the time, the manpower, the money in order to enforce it, then
Yeah, it's funny, and you mentioned those water balloons and the sewer problem. I wondered all those years when I saw those hundreds of thousands of balloon carcasses, or tens of thousands of them on the
And no
street.
one cleans them up?
It was crazy.
No one cleans them up?
I mean, it was crazy what a mess they were down, right? I'd wondered who cleaned them up. They probably just hose them down the street, right?
Yeah.
Right into the storm
Like
drain.
you said, right in the storm drain.
Yeah, and that was if, I know the maintenance or utilities department would try to come through and clean them up, but even their like Vector trucks or the street
You can't pick
sweepers,
them up.
they're not gonna pick
You can't pick them up.
most of them up.
I have a question for Captain Chucklew. I know this year at Lost Winds on 4th of July, I know there was a big group. Did we have some of the similar issues that Newport Beach did?
No,
Yeah.
so we had 2 squads of deputies, which is basically 24 deputies, I think
Right.
collectively, the total weight of the deputies was about 80,000 pounds, so. we're not gonna have
That's
that.
an interesting fact.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
for that.
no problem. We know historically, the juvies will hang out there, they'll bury alcohol,
Right.
and then, the next day they'll come and party, so. We make sure we heavily staff that
Okay.
very, very early, so the first thing they see when they start coming down those stairs is a gigantic deputy.
Okay.
So they know that we're not gonna tolerate that. There are some things that we've already talked about that we're gonna implement next year, like almost like the
Maybe
security
some
checkpoint.
gigantic horses, maybe?
Well, what was interesting is I was up on a street up on the house on the bluff.
Sure.
And you guys must have cleared, because around 2 or 3 o'clock, a bunch of them came up and they're all calling Ubers.
Mhm.
And then where are we going next? So there was kind of a coordinated thing, and they were all young,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do, because of the city with the hardship, and it's been the same thing for
Yeah.
well over 10, 15 years now. We kind of know where they're gonna be. We make sure we put a concentrated effort in that
Okay.
area.
Okay, good.
Does the sheriff's department have a drone program?
We do.
Oh, okay.
So you have certified drone. Oh, yeah. I was one of the first FAA certified Part 107 pilots for special investigations at the time. And we have a drone as a first responder program that's likely going to launch next year as well, but we have a very comprehensive program that's on the way.
I thought they put that on hold.
No, sir. Not our department.
I was just thinking, I think the drone program's great for fireworks and being able to verify and the enforcement, but even like a force multiplier, like if you have a report of, hey, fight and stabbing on the beach, oh, you got all units going there, right? You're pulling all resources to try to get to that. And then a drone gets up top, says, hey, now negative, it's just a couple people, it doesn't appear to be, you know what I mean? Then you're saving a bunch of resources trying to get through a busy town, pulling them away from other areas.
Yeah, we did have UAV-1 is what we call it, up for the 4th of July, and there's probably gonna be a more substantial drone presence here in neighboring cities as well.
Well, it's amazing that new deputies could ever find their way around the city. I mean, there is no rhyme or reason to our streets.
They all use their phone now.
Yeah, so
It's on their computer.
We didn't have those nowadays.
Yeah.
When I was a new policeman here, they used to give you a map of the city, but none of the street names on it.
You had to fill out all the street names. I mean,
At Air Support, we used to have to use Thomas Brothers.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
we did it all.
I learned.
That's how I learned.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Find the
We had-
grid.
G47.
Yep.
They used to, dispatchers used to give you the grid.
Yeah,
Wow.
so, yeah, it's changed a little bit.
Yeah. Thank
So,
This is great
Adam,
work, Adam.
So,
This is great work.
This is like a main issue, right?
I would say this is a priority. This is a
Yeah.
council priority.
So-
New Year's Eve is crazy with fireworks.
Just because I don't know, I don't know a lot of things, but can we do special meetings as long as we apply to the Brown Act and everything else?
Absolutely.
And I think that, if we could have one meeting on this and have everybody, and then maybe kind of just condense it down to 2 or 3 people that want to really hone in on it, we could do a lot.
So, yeah, I think there's a couple options here. One is either we plan to bring this item back to the next meeting in October, and I can work with our public safety partners, park rangers, code enforcement, and get a couple presentations put together as far as some of the informational requests that were made. Another one would be to have a special meeting just on this topic. A third idea would be, since we're talking about the committee's work plan for the next year, would be to identify that as its own special project. As I mentioned, this is I'll say generally July 4th, New Year's type of issue. I think there's enough here that I can say it's probably unlikely that we'll have much in place before this New Year's. I think that the desired deadline would be to have things in place with public messaging before next July 4th. If this is a committee's work plan item, then I think over the next 2 meetings, so by the December meeting, get a lot of this fleshed out so that staff can start working on the actual the documents, policy documents that need to be updated or created. That would essentially be kind of a year-long project because we could report back and get some further input from a subcommittee. Having this be a subcommittee item would also allow for not needing a special meeting of the full committee if a couple folks are assigned to it specifically.
Because hopefully we can do a lot with this, and the quicker we do it, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, these 2-month lags, I'd like to see like a meeting in between some of them.
Yeah.
And just from my own perspective, I would hate to see us throw away this New Year's in hope of trying to implement something for the following year of 27 when we don't know if it would work, where we could come up with a couple of things, just spitball some ideas to go out there and try them to see if it works and go, yeah, that would work. Okay, let's fine tune that versus just to say, well, it's too short, we can't implement anything. I'd like to at least be able to say, well, maybe we can, here's a couple of ideas, let's try.
Try some things and see if it works.
Just to see if it works.
Are you talking about legislation or outside of legislation?
Well, first of all, there's no way that I don't think we can get anything in legislative.
I agree. That's where we're going.
But I'm sure that as far as the drones or any type of enhanced surveillance type of things that would or would not increase our ability to identify who's doing certain things and what better ways to interdict those things so that when it comes time to putting together the whole package, we have something. But if we just go, well, we don't have enough time now, and just totally blow off this upcoming New Year's, I think we're missing an opportunity to at least try something. That's all.
And I believe that we should have a special meeting, and we'll put it open to everybody. If you don't want to really be involved in this particular area of our being here, don't come.
Yeah.
Okay, don't waste your time. But, I really like the former law enforcement people to be involved in Mike. And so, thing is that I'd really like to kind of surprise the city council and have something that,
Yeah.
that they can actually look at.
Is New Year's Eve, I know I see the fireworks all the time, but is it a mellower than 4th of July? Or are they both equally?
I'd say in terms of illegal fireworks, probably a little bit mellower, but
They're still everywhere.
I mean, they're.
And I would argue this 4th of July was a little bit more extreme because it was the 250th
Right,
birthday.
exactly.
So, but to kind of piggyback what I'm saying, the New Year's is for San Clemente specifically a little more chill.
Gee, that's what I thought.
The water balloons aren't as prevalent during New Year's.
No, they never.
Not-
So we don't have that
Just
issue at all.
office.
My big concern for you
The
is,
chair race is once
Newport's
a
done
year.
this in the
Right,
past. Yeah, they lock down their city,
So
and
it's
those
like-
people are gonna go somewhere else.
I know.
And this would be an ideal city for them to move
Yeah.
down to, right? Because they'll think it's a sleepy little town, pretty little beaches, and
Well, I can tell you based on like protest season and stuff like that, they do not like coming down here because they know, and again, nothing against any of our partner agencies, they know that San Clemente is not going to tolerate a lot of the same stuff that, I don't want any
is
other.
that because of
city-
your 80,000 deputies, 80,000 pound deputies?
Yeah, so when we had, I think there was some protests down here a few years ago down around the Pier Bowl area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were very peaceful because they knew the group of deputies that we brought down here were not messing around.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
We're gonna protect everybody's First Amendment, but we're all gonna be safe, right?
Oh, that was that ex-police chief that ended up going to Washington DC and getting arrested?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
guy? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just different. And again, nothing against any other agency, it's just different for San Clemente.
That's great.
All right, I will put out an email to you probably in 2 weeks or so, and maybe in 3 weeks.
Do we have to do a public notice for another meeting?
We do,
A full meeting?
and just a reminder on the Brown Act, if we want to send something to the entire committee, it's best to have staff put that message out, collect responses, and then facilitate something. So if we're talking about a special meeting, if that's the direction that the committee would like to go, then just let us know that you want to do that, and Miley and I will.
What is your view on that? What is your opinion on that?
I think time is of the essence. I mean,
Do you want to do a full committee rather than just?
I would make it open to anybody in the committee that wants to attend and work on this project. If somebody in the committee isn't into this, then.
If you don't have a quorum, then we don't need to do a special meeting.
So that would be 3 members.
Yeah.
If the committee can identify 3 members of a subcommittee to work on this, then we can meet with those 3 members as often as we want to.
I'm pretty sure we
before
have 5 right at the moment. So.
It seems that way, but that's one very expeditious way to do this. Otherwise, we can work on putting together a special meeting just to talk about
I'll
this.
let you know, and I hope we can. I'd really like to see. We did a really great job on e-bikes previously, and we've done some other really good stuff. I'd really like to see us serve up something to the city council that we're working.
Yeah,
Okay.
copy in it.
So then, just real quick to follow that up. So we'll plan to discuss this at the next committee meeting.
Right.
If you and one other member or 2 want to discuss a special meeting, let us know, and then we will coordinate that meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so my question was, seems like we're going to be having a meeting sometime to this. What would you like before that meeting for us to do, read, or know about so that we can come in and be informed at that meeting?
Well, at this point, it would be doing some of your own research into these ideas or identify other options you think would be good. What I would like to do is get the information, the data that has been requested here, and have that into your hands before we meet so that you can kind of unpack all of that. Once a meeting is identified, I think with that information, some of your own research or just, thoughts pondered on these items. If you have additional questions, you can send them to staff. We'll try to get those answered before we meet so that there's all the information that
Well, we're very fortunate to have probably the best researcher that I've ever known, so.
So what does success look like for you, and what does the timeline look like? If you could draw out the future here, and what would satisfy, you're the one with all of the.
Yeah, that's a really good question. At this point, that's undefined. It's almost like dealing with the homeless issue. You know, what does success look like? Well, it looks like no more homeless people. How realistic is that goal? That's a different thing. I think here the issue is how prepared is our law enforcement staff to be able to address these issues when they do arise. Success with fireworks would be no fireworks. At bare minimum, it should be no wildfires started by fireworks.
Yes, of course.
But even New Year's Eve, granted this is supposed to be a very wet winter.
Yeah.
If it's not, if the predictions are wrong, well then we might just be in the same situation that we were 2
Yeah, but
years
the trick
ago.
is to, and I think you were hinting at this earlier, the trick is to find a couple of examples. You get a couple violators, and we put them on the front page and make an example of them and say, this city is not going to tolerate this.
Yeah.
The woman that had to go to jail because her kid hit
Well,
somebody.
then, and also, like what we did, we were having problems with the HOA, the same house, shooting off fireworks, and they were hitting the canyons. Yeah, you could see them going right over the canyon, and we're like, this is gonna be it for everyone. Our HOA went to them and basically said, if you don't control it, you're gonna be liable, you guys are liable if you burn down our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then that kind of stopped it, and then we started again. It stopped it for like 6 months.
Our HOA, we hired security to
Yeah.
control, because we have, our top parking lot is, you can see Dana Point.
Right.
Ours, and 2 others, so.
Captain, I have a question. The last thing that I think the best disservice we could probably do is to come up with one of these items and come up with what we think is a workable solution, not have the input of your people to decide, to tell us whether or not you can even do it.
Sure.
So is it possible that you could have someone attend whatever meetings we come up with to be like your liaison to answer questions or say yes or no, or have to go back and give permission, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because I don't want to do work and then turn around and say, here you go, Chevy, this is what we got, and you go, we can't do that.
Yeah, it'll be one of my 2 sergeants. It'll be my administrative sergeant, Travis Lever, or my CSU sergeant, who was my administrative sergeant, Kevin Taylor. They're both investigators. They've both been around the block. It would be great.
Whoever, I just don't want to, create more work or to get think we come up with a unique situation or idea and then turn around and you go, no.
Yeah, as long as we know what time and place to be, and Miley does a great job of putting us
Okay, that's all I'm asking is that I think that's really imperative. We don't need your help
Great
on
point.
coming up with a cost recovery program for whatever until it comes time to tell me how much you guys cost.
Yes,
But
Great
water
point.
balloons, yes.
Okay, moving on. Adam, what do you want to do from here?
Back to item A, and I'll make this quick. The city is entertaining a grant opportunity. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
The city is entertaining a grant opportunity for a community resilience center. This is a grant from the California Strategic Growth Council, and it covers one of 2 things: either planning grants or implementation grants. Implementation grants are for shovel-ready projects. We do not have a shovel-ready project. We are interested in a planning grant to help formulate a concept that has been brought up by a few people in the city, some interested members of the community, and it relates to a resilience center at Steed Park that would serve a number of purposes. There's a large desire to look at putting together essentially a wildfire resilience center in Steed Park that can potentially provide a few really beneficial community uses. Some would be related to goat grazing operations, larger pens, places where if the city, the municipal corporation, the city, or HOAs want to hire goat grazing services, that there's somewhere for them to put those goats while those programs are being activated, but also to look at like demonstration gardens and demonstration buildings to show people what Zone Zero looks like, what fire-resistant native habitat looks like, when properly placed. What buildings that are hardened really look like. What are some of the things that the community can do with their own properties? Providing space for educational uses, those kinds of things. Potentially, even another helipad for OCFA, a more permanent one than the one that we have they have a 2-year lease for next to Fire Station 59, I think it is. So that was an idea that has been discussed. The City Council recently adopted the city's real estate asset management plan, which cataloged all of the city's real estate assets. And for the vast majority of them, they are core strategic properties. There's not going to be any change to them. But there's a list of about 12 properties where they're either underutilized, they're vacant, and there's a potential future development opportunity, or we're going to declare them surplus. One of those properties was Steed Park, and it was identified as being underutilized. The whole back side of that is being used for construction trailers and just staging construction equipment, essentially. And so as part of that review, they looked at that property and they gave staff direction to look at how to better use that space, which could be anything from additional pickleball courts to additional ball fields to anything else. However, the focus that they wanted us to look at was for wildfire prevention activities, community outreach and education, disaster preparedness, those kinds of things. So the Community Resilience Center grant, while that type of wildfire resilience center could absolutely be a part of it, it's really more focused on things like cooling centers, sheltering opportunities, things that would help the vulnerable members of the community actually survive some type of disaster incident, or extreme heat, air quality issues, those kinds of things. So there's a good interplay here where we can potentially get a grant for $500,000 that would allow us to plan a large project in this location that has no matching fund requirement. We've got a few things in the hopper related to wildfire prevention, some other grants going on, and none of those really address what we're talking about here. So we want to try to do as much planning as we can through grants as possible, because our funding is somewhat limited. So the purpose of this meeting was to get some feedback from the committee, and for any members of the public that may have been aware of this, to elicit some feedback from them. And we also have a community survey that we've put out, and there's a flyer that Miley provided with a QR code to that survey. So we're trying to elicit some feedback on that. There's a list of questions on the page 3, and I'll just kind of go over them to kind of spur some conversation. But we're talking about community needs and hazards. what emergencies or community resilience challenges should a San Clemente Community Resilience Center be designed to address? What kinds of year-round programs and services would be beneficial? I mentioned some of the wildfire prevention education, defensible space demonstrations, youth programs, volunteer training, those types of things. Serving vulnerable populations, this is really targeted towards people that are part of a vulnerable population, such as seniors, youth, persons with disabilities, and so on. The grant application will identify STEED as a focus, but the grant requires us to do more extensive community outreach, and so that may not actually be the final location that's identified, but just to show that we have been putting some thought into this, that's the location that we're starting with. And then partnerships, community uses, what other organizations around town, programs or services would help make something like this beneficial. The grant has a pretty quick turnaround. It's due on September 4th. We're putting it together right now. And so we're going to try to submit that on September 2nd. If there are some additional thoughts or comments that the committee members would like to make, they don't need to be made here. You can go onto our survey and fill that out, or just send me an email with your comments, and we'll incorporate that as part of our public comment that we've gathered. But we're trying to get this is a pretty competitive grant, and the scoring rubric is indicating that getting as much community input as we can before the initial submittal will not hurt us in the slightest.
The survey looks good.
Thank you.
I saw a lot of this stuff. I think it's incredible. Incredible.
So, just one question. I did go through this. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
However, I was concerned about this climate-related emergencies. Will this prohibit us from using the facility or these resources for non-climate related emergency planning, such as the nuclear power plant problem with the spent fuel, with hazardous waste disaster from a train derailment here? Are these excluded from this? Because it says it's climate related emergencies, and I'm not sure I understand what that means.
No, a facility that gets developed could be used for many purposes. It could effectively be a multi-purpose room for times when it's not used for climate-related emergencies.
Okay.
The focus of it, though, is to address climate-related issues.
No, I understand. I don't have any objection to that. I just wonder if it's straitjacketing us into just those things.
No, not at all.
Okay. That's important. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Adam, has there been a consideration of also using Steed Park, or could as an additional as a base camp for the fire when they're fighting fires? I know you see them all the equipment out, but there's a base where they all come back to and operate out of.
Yeah, so there were a couple things on that. Rancho Mission Viejo and San Clemente were working with the Orange County Fire Authority a couple years ago to help them identify a location for a Wildland Resource Center, or WRC, where they have like the hand
Fancy
crew.
names now.
The hand crew folks.
Right.
And so there was one area in the city that the OCFA was potentially interested in. They eventually decided to have that facility be at in Rancho Mission Viejo. But when we were kind of working on this, we were looking at some other locations. Steed Park was identified as one of those options. One of the nice things about Steed Park is that you have a very large parking lot that comes off of La Plata, and then you have Calle Extremo that runs behind it. Yeah. There is a grade from this vacant area of Steed Park down to Calle Extremo, but the fact that with not too much effort, you could probably put a pretty nice entrance that comes off of Calle Extremo to the back side of this area. And so you could have a facility that not only provides a lot of public-facing amenities that can be accessed off of La Plata with a very nice parking lot already there, but you'd be able to separate this area into a more city personnel, partner agency personnel area in the back that would have its own dedicated entrance, especially for all of these types of pieces of equipment. And that was one of the things that when we were considering where a future permanent helipad facility could go would be located, which would be kind of on the backside here with a road going down to Extremo. The thing with the helipad is that they need living quarters to be next to the helipad, which is why it's by the fire station right now. But that's really not the best location for it. At Steed Park in the back, if they had living quarters there, that would be absolutely ideal. And at that point, we're talking about a campus
Right. You
that
have that.
serves
You could put that there.
so many different types of resilience purposes.
And how much money is available if you get the first round of the grant? What's available for the shovel-ready stuff?
That one, I think, I believe it was like $20 or $30 million.
Wow.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Have to put in a emergency management system resources, because we don't have one, right?
We do, we have.
Well, no, we don't. What
Like an EOC?
Yes.
So the EOC, it's temporary right now. We're looking to locate it on the 3rd floor here. And we're working on that right now. However, this could absolutely play a part in that as well.
Yeah, okay.
Especially for sheltering opportunities.
Right.
Right now we're just starting to look at MOUs with like churches and some other groups that have large buildings around town, because the only shelter that we really have, it's a Red Cross identified shelter, is the community center, which is not ideal. If there's an incident down there, then we need a shelter somewhere else. And so schools used to be a really good resource, but they've really been pulling back their desire to be used as shelters as of recent. So we're looking for some other opportunities. If the city had 2 shelters on either side of town, that would really put us in a great spot.
And if you were to be, to put that shelter in, that would also be considered, or you could section off living quarters to put your helipad in.
Yeah, ideally they'd have their own dedicated area.
They don't need that much because, they're 2 in a crew.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this?
No, no, nothing about it. Just one.
Helicopter?
Nothing. But I mean, it's just a crew of 2, and the mechanics are mobile.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't have to have an onboard mechanic or radio person. Okay, they just call it in and somebody comes. So I can work with it.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I gotta tell you, you've been busy.
Yeah. How many hours are in your day? I only have 24 in mine.
Do you sleep like 4 hours a night and that's it?
Only when things keep me up, and they often do.
You're amazing, Adam. We're so glad
I
to have you.
appreciate that.
All right, so we'll move on to communications. Correct, and nothing?
Let's see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did that.
I'm sorry. Okay, the community work plan. We already have something going, right?
We have last year's work plan, but every year the council needs to approve it.
Right.
This year, let's see, we have, all right. So currently we have the homelessness project, fire mitigation, improvement of park ranger program, humanitarian award, vehicle and e-bike safety programs, junior leadership program, communications and disaster preparedness, and neighborhood watch. It's really up to the committee. A lot of these programs have been
Taken care of.
dealt with,
I'm not sure
or
we really need a homeless project. I mean, we've got, look, if we're down to 10 people, Carly and Troy, I think they kind of deal with it. They're the ones that do everything. They're great.
And are we gonna be able to keep Carly and Troy?
absolutely. Yeah, we are.
Because their grant runs out, right?
Their grant, the current grants that we have obtained will run out. However, the same grant is, they're issuing a notice of funding opportunity for that grant, and we're also looking at some other opportunities. I'm not really worried that their
Yeah.
funding's going to run out.
Yeah.
They serve such a
I mean, we've
valuable.
got a whole group, we've got 2 other really good things that we can put in the work plan.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And, I mean, the e-bikes, we've given them everything that they can do. I can't think of anything else that we're gonna accomplish on the e-bikes.
Well, plus we're pending on the state legislation.
Right.
And that's what I would decide.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna do the videos, that's what we were saying.
Yeah.
Videos is what we need to get out on social media. And I've already talked to the people that run each of the San Clemente ones, and they're all, just let me know when, we'll throw them on there. So I think we're good on that too. Adam, what about the junior leadership program? What did you think about that last year?
So actually, that was a huge success.
Huge success,
Huge
that's what I thought.
success.
I think we need to do it again, don't we?
Well, so city staff
Uh-huh.
has decided that we will make that an ongoing
Okay,
program.
okay,
And so at this point, unless there's some recommendations for improvements over last year, the city's ready to carry that project forward.
okay,
And so there's really not much for the committee to
to do.
do.
But we need to get with Mark then, right? Because he was the one, or are we gonna just open it to whoever?
Well, the city will work with
Okay.
school representatives to
Okay,
get that
all right.
program.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
organized.
okay, so we don't need to do that then either, okay, perfect. Okay,
So is it gonna be the recommendation of the committee to the council that we are gonna eliminate those 3?
Right, and we're gonna add in our other 2 now.
uh-huh. We need to keep the humanitarian award, because that's been
Yeah,
ongoing every
I'd like
year.
to enhance that.
Do we need to do anything formal to request that we eliminate or, propose how we are shuffling this?
Yeah, so what we'll want to do is have a motion and a vote to remove certain items, and then when we're adding them in, let's see, the next meeting is going to be the 4th Tuesday of October. The way that the municipal code is written is that these are due to the council by October. If we need another meeting, I'm sure that will be okay. We'd rather get this done and presented to the council before October, just so that we can get their go-ahead to start working on all of this. If you want to add some items, now is absolutely the time to do it. The only question is, what do you want the language of the work plan project to be? And I think if we can maybe look at another one that's similar, you could just direct staff to draft up something that speaks, with similar language to one of the existing ones. The things that we're most concerned with are going to be the deliverables. What are we telling the council that the committee's going to bring back? Or the other option would be just have staff draft up these work plans and then direct that the chair or 2 members, whoever, review them before they're submitted to the city council and give those members the authority to do the final sign off on the committee work plan.
I think we came up with a pretty good workable plan last year by having everything go through the chair so that it was uniform and everything looked the same, coming from the same person versus.
Well, I think it needs to be more than the chair.
Yeah, didn't Andy do all this last year? Was he
Yeah.
the one that did all this?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that versus just having like the 2 or 3 people that are, what you're doing, Mike, you know what I mean? You could write your own thing up and everything, but if it looks like it comes from the same centralized.
You know, I get it.
The
Miley,
city
you wrote
writes it
everything
up.
Right, didn't you? Did you write it all up?
No.
No. You didn't? Okay.
And if the city writes it up, I'd like this to review it myself and Jim and Mike. Okay?
I guess my question would be, both of these, well, the ordinance, the one involving the holiday public safety enforcement, is that gonna be a
Yes.
item on here?
Item, yeah.
There will be, okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But then for the other one, as far as what we just discussed here with the Resilience Center, should that fall under the communication and disaster preparedness?
That one doesn't need to be a work,
Yeah.
that doesn't need to be a work program item.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just submitting an application at this point, and there's
Okay.
gonna
We're
be some
gonna
back and
just keep
forth
the disaster.
with staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just add that and remove the others?
And by the way, the work you did on that is amazing.
Thanks. Okay.
So we're removing the homeless one. What about fire mitigation?
I have to say that's going to remain a.
That has to
Yeah.
remain.
Okay.
That has to.
So we need that. Improvement of park ranger program.
There's a lot of activity on that too, I think.
There is, we are still working on the standard operating procedures. It's a 103-page document at this point. I have gone through it, I've given my comments back to Trevor. I'm having him work with our community development programs analyst to flush out a number of things that just need to be addressed in that plan. That's going to be a big review item for the committee, and the subcommittee can handle that, but that's definitely something
Okay, so
we're
we
gonna
need
want to
to
do.
keep
over-
I think this
Also,
committee needs to oversee that.
Jim had a good point for the park rangers
Well,
on the body cams.
yeah, if we're going, we keep giving more and more responsibility that drifts closer and closer towards what law enforcement does. And from a liability standpoint for the city, I was wondering whether or not, because we only have 5, right, 6 guys, if it might not be time to invest in a body cam for each individual person that we can then, number one, it does a multitude of different things. It protects the officers, obviously it protects the city, but at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to present what it is that our people are doing to the public, to give them an idea of the type of work that we're doing and the type of people that we're encountering and the types of interactions that we're having, so that it gives legitimacy to what it is that we do, especially if you're going to go ask for more money or ask to increase funding for more personnel, anything like that. But I just like to see, or at least explore, maybe, if nothing else, maybe the sheriff's department can loan us 5 cameras. You know, I
That
don't
would be the
know.
way to do it, because the infrastructure for those cameras are not cheap.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying though, but we're asking them to do some things that are really cutting close to what,
Oh, are these guys PC 832?
no.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
not?
every single one of them is.
I was gonna say, I thought they were.
They're listed as peace officers?
No, they've gone through PCA.
832 training,
Yes, they've
okay,
gone through
all right.
that
That's
training.
like a security guard.
They issue misdemeanor citations, so they do have the power to arrest. They don't detain anybody. And we don't have access to CLETs, so they will contact the sheriff's department when they need to identify somebody. But absent a sheriff, if they get somebody's ID and they're committing a violation that is egregious enough to be charged as a misdemeanor, then they're charging that.
Well, and also, I mean, just the fact that it's on their person, whoever they're talking to knows they're being recorded.
Well, regardless, I completely agree. Keep this item on there and then look at, as part of, over the next year, additional enhancements that could be
Good.
recommended to the city council.
Okay?
Yeah.
humanitarian award obviously needs to stay on.
And you have more ideas on that?
Yeah,
We'll
but
bring that up at the
I'd like
meeting.
to be on that committee to help.
Okay, and then vehicle and e-bike safety program, we're gonna pull that off.
I believe that's what the committee
Yeah,
has
okay.
recommended.
Communication and disaster preparedness, we need to keep
Yeah,
on.
this stays on.
Okay, the
You
junior.
better keep that on,
Yeah,
lady.
that's right. Junior leadership program, we're gonna give that over to the city.
Yes.
Okay, that can come off and then that's it.
Yep.
And then we add the,
And neighborhood watch,
you
do we still want that one? You know, from I'll leave it up to the committee, but it looks like it's a running program.
I totally agree.
Okay.
and then we're just adding the new one you gave us, okay.
Okay, so we're talking, holiday safety. Okay, so, if it suffices to, give direction to staff to develop a work plan for the, holiday safety enhancement program. And we can probably pull a lot of language from that staff report. Since we're having a special meeting, which I'm anticipating is gonna be within the next few weeks, right? For that program anyways.
Right.
Maybe at that meeting, I can bring that work plan item and have the committee review it then.
Perfect.
If for some reason the timing's a little bit off and we want to get it on a council agenda sooner, I may just send it to you three to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody can make a motion to formalize all of that stuff with direction on.
Paul?
Well, I was just gonna ask if we can add any more. Do we do anything with youth mental health or families and when we were here at Human Resources, our agenda didn't include a lot of safety stuff. It included a lot of things, for parents and for children. There's a whole lot of illegal drugs out there now. There's some really artificial stuff that makes fentanyl look awful, and look fine. There's something that's 10 times worse than that. And I'm a member of the Wellness and Prevention Coalition, and I meet with these people once a month, and they wanted me to communicate to you guys that we have an issue with drugs with kids, and it's getting into the high school, and we want to educate parents and teachers about the drugs and the kids themselves, and there's also a problem with Creighton Creighton use, in 7-Elevens, all of these things that kids can get their hands on. So they asked me if we could maybe not have a town hall, but at least add some things to this about youth mental health or drugs in general. Since most of what I've heard today is public safety, but I'd like to add more things to do with keeping everybody safe and healthy, if we can do that.
Well, I think it's been our goal, first of all, everything we've done has been at the direction of the council. The council gives us these items for us to look into, and for the best of our ability, we try and do those things. I think it's unfortunate that they took these two items and combined them into one, which limits our ability to do everything. I'm sure that you can have an opportunity to meet with the sheriff and his people and find the school resource people and things of those natures that
whatever.
Yeah, but as far as creating a new agenda item, I think for us, I think we're just probably stretched about. I mean, there's a lot of things in here that are very labor intensive, and one of the directives that we got from the mayor 2 years ago when we started this was, it's one thing to have a committee, it's another thing to have a committee that generates actionable stuff back to the council, because that's what we're supposed to do. And if we spread ourselves too thin, I think we're doing a disservice to what it is that we do to try and do those things. But I don't want to.
No, part of this though is the grants that you're going to work on. So when you look at you will investigate all of the nonprofits in town that might deserve some of this. So we will investigate that then. Right. So I just wanted to.
That's what she and Stuart did last year, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to the committee.
Yeah.
that good? Is that good, Adam?
I just need a motion and a vote.
Okay, okay.
If you want me to summarize what it looks like, if you feel comfortable?
I might have it.
All right.
Make a motion that we recommend the elimination of the e-bike project and also the, sorry, I had it.
Homelessness.
Homelessness, there it was the top one. And the homelessness,
Those two.
and that we add 2 additional projects, the holiday, what are we calling it?
Holiday safety enhancement.
Yeah, holiday and safety enhancement, and
But also remove the junior and the neighborhood watch.
Junior leadership program's gonna, city's gonna take over that program.
that's what it was. Yes, I'm sorry.
And we're also gonna do away with the neighborhood watch.
Oh, and that's, it's 4 of us.
Such a good job.
Gee.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay. I didn't see that on our plan. Okay. Do I need to redo that?
No, that was good.
But we are adding the
The holiday safety enforcement.
enforcement.
You covered that
Okay, is
one.
that going to cover all that we talked
And then the
about?
only other thing would be to
The
direct
resilience.
staff to draft up a work plan project for the holiday safety enforcement and either present it at a upcoming special meeting of the committee or provide it to Chair Greenwald, it's Vice Chair Royer, and Committee Member Walsh for final approval.
And anybody else can join that, so.
Not outside of a council meeting. So that would be
Outside of
a,
one of our meetings.
yeah, or committee meeting. That would be a less than a quorum.
Okay.
So that's the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, it's
Now, let's
great.
work on that special meeting, when that's going to be.
I'm thinking like about 3 weeks.
Will that be enough time, do you think, Adam? Give them enough time, I mean, like, turn around and back to the council?
Oh, how about the 4th Tuesday of September?
Which is. what
That would be
date?
the 22nd.
22nd.
Fine.
Yeah, that's, I've got my HOA at 6 like today, so
Works fine.
that's fine.
Yeah, since it's a special meeting, if we wanted to start it a little bit early, we could do that.
Right.
2.
I'd be heading to Montana. It's on the schedule here, but I could maybe bump that a day. I have to find out from my wife. So,
Start at 2.
Start at 2.
Okay, 2 o'clock, great.
September 22nd? Okay. PM. Because the week or two after that, I'm kind of gone because I'm planning a small thing at the sports park at the carnival.
There you go.
So,
A meeting for that.
do it?
Are you gonna be at that meeting?
Yeah, the second.
Yeah.
what time is that special meeting?
2.
2 o'clock. Here, is that okay with you?
Move this.
I'm showing I have a flight at 5 in LAX.
You're not gonna make it.
Never make it.
Maybe they said ask LAP to send Mary to.
Let me ask my wife. 'Cause, I'm not sure why we're flying a lot. That would make sense.
And we have the items for subcommittees. The establishment of community safety and welfare committee subcommittees.
I would recommend we move that to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Once the
I
council
totally
approves the new work plan, we can
Totally
establish
agree.
subcommittee items.
All right, just quick around the table. Miley, do you have anything? Adam, anything else?
Yeah, one other item. At a previous council meeting, I reported on the county's point in time count. and identified that staff had some significant concerns with the methodology that the county has been using for the point in time count, which is our biannual, every 2 year count of homeless people that are sheltered and unsheltered within the city. I requested the council's support for drafting a letter to send to HUD, the California Housing and Community Development Department, the Interagency Council on Homelessness, and the county's Continuum of Care and Office of Care Coordination. And those last two groups are the ones that put on the point in time count for Orange County. That letter was drafted and submitted. In it, we identified some significant concerns with the county's data collection, specifically as it related to their ability to deduplicate counts, which is fundamentally the issue with how we believe that their methodology creates an inflated number of homeless people, specifically in San Clemente. We challenged their numbers 2 years ago, and we saw no recourse to adjust those numbers. It fundamentally comes down to how there's a morning count, there's an afternoon count, all on one day, and then at some undisclosed time period within a week, there's a different cleanup count, and all of the data that's been compiled for those counts, there's not enough information to definitively say that certain people were not counted twice. So we sent that letter. I have heard back from HUD, and I've heard back from the county. We'll see what additional information comes from that, but wanted to update on that issue. The point in time count for this year was 74 unsheltered people. We find that incredibly hard to believe that in January there were 74 unsheltered people that were identified, because Carly and Troy's numbers from the entire month of January were only 65 unduplicated contacts. So just FYI on that.
Why did they do that? Are they still trying to push the shelter on us down here?
Well, there are implications for what those numbers mean, and the state has required cities to do things like update their emergency shelter ordinance to reflect current point in time count numbers, which we actually did earlier this year,
right,
to reflect 2 years ago number, which was 65, also debatable. While we did not lodge any accusations,
right,
one of the main tenets of our position is that the agencies that are requiring this information, which it all comes out of HUD, they use this information to determine where funding is prioritized. And we think it's not only in the city of San Clemente's taxpayers' best interest, but the nation's taxpayers' best interest to make sure that the money that we're putting forth towards a problem is reflective of the actual size of that problem. And so that's why all of those other groups were CC'd on that letter, because they all need to be aware that at least there's one jurisdiction that has serious questions about the methodology and its implications on how the nation, the states, regional, funds are allocated.
So where did the chief's 10 number come from?
That's from Carly and Troy.
No, that's actually his number.
Oh,
So
his number.
they have 2 HLOs now, and when they're out and they're dealing with people on the street, that's how many people they are coming in contact with that they have seen as actually living on the street.
Okay.
Whether there are more homeless people here on any given day is a different matter, because we.
Got it. I understand.
Hands down. Chris, do you have anything?
I don't.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, by the way, I'm sorry.
No.
Welcome to both of you.
No, like I said, I think the direction from the council in getting the information that you guys requested is going to greatly enhance the work product that we get. Obviously,
I think we have some great things to work on now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And
I'm
Rosemary.
glad to see the chief here, though. That was big for me.
Yes.
Big for me.
Mike?
Just real brief, I don't want to take a lot of time. I promised last meeting that I was going to have this website comparison survey done. It's done. I submitted it to Adam here, and I told him, do a sanity check on it before it gets released out to the rest of the committee. So this is pending. There's no hurry on this. I promised this a long time ago. I did send you a copy to you, so you saw it, but there's a copy here if you just want to see it on the draft form. But again, it's just informational. The interesting thing about it was Laguna Beach is the model. And when you think about it, they've got 22,000 residents. And when you think the money that they spend on their program and Newport comes in second, they've got 88,000 citizens. You know, they're a third bigger than we are. So, but anyway, there's some great examples of 4 cities: Aliso Viejo, Laguna Niguel, Newport Beach, and Laguna tops the.
Newport's got all that brand money, so.
It isn't fair. I mean, these guys don't say it, but it isn't fair.
Well, Laguna has all those big hotels too.
Well, they have it. Well, and remember, they lost. They lost
All those
homes in
Yeah,
'93.
I remember
So
that.
that'll wake you up.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, there's no hurry on that. I know how busy you are.
That was, I cannot tell you how, I was just knocked out.
That was interesting. So
Thank you.
Study.
Gary?
2 things. One, for that special meeting, I know we pulled that third Tuesday or whatever. Fourth, I'm sorry, yes. Would the third Tuesday work, the 15th?
I'm gone, but you guys can do it if you need to, and I can jump in afterwards.
That would be the 16th?
15th?
I'll be in Alaska.
Oh, the 15th? That is a council meeting day. Not that it couldn't occur.
What about
That would not be
Monday-
ideal.
What about Monday, the 21st?
That can work for me.
That's fine for me.
No, that's Yom Kippur. I won't be here.
Oh,
Oh, it is Yom Kippur.
okay. 23rd.
Yeah, see, I'm in.
I mean,
Friday the 18th?
Friday 18th can
Good
work.
for me.
What time?
2 o'clock.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
That's fine for me. That
I wouldn't be here that week, but I've been in Alaska fishing a fishing trip.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you.
But if you have to go on without.
But you get to bring back some halibut.
I get halibut hopefully soon.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
But I'll be grilling it on the 22nd, and you'll be in Montana.
So, 18th?
Friday the 18th?
That's fine.
And we'll have a staff report put together similar to this one, so you'll get a copy of that if you are able to review it before you leave.
Thank you.
That's at 2 o'clock. Did we say on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gary, that was 1 or 2?
Oh, that was the first. Yeah, sorry. That was internet. Second one, I just a comment. Yes, I'm excited also about the agenda for the future for us. I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
I think.
And I think it's workable.
Yes.
And deliverable.
Yes.
They said September 18th.
That's it.
So it's not this 22nd, it's not the
September
18th.
18th.
18th of that too.
I was off.
All right.
Friday, right?
Thank you, everybody.
That's a
Can I
Friday.
get a motion to adjourn the regular meeting of the Community Safety and Welfare Committee
Motion.
and rejoin our regular meeting on October 27th at 3 p.m. at the community room here on Cali Negocio.
Actually, can we adjourn to that special meeting?
Yes.
The 18th.
Especially
Okay.
the 18th at 2
Okay.
o'clock.
Friday,
Special-
September
Keep
18th
it.
at 2
Got
p.m.
it.
here.
All right.
That's why I put
I
a
make
regular
motion.
meeting in there.
Alrighty. Very good.
All in favor?
I motion.
Is there a
We
second?
need a second. Who's second?
Jim seconds.
I've got another meeting to go to.
Very nice to meet you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have an HOA meeting in 35 minutes.